Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for our Village of Alsip Committee meeting. Today's April 8th, 2024, and we're going to call this meeting to order at 7:30 p.m. Can you call the roll, please?
Trustee Dalzell?
Here.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McGlawhorn? Here. Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Navas Barza? Here. Trustee Peretta?
Here.
Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So for the benefit of the students in the room, tonight's a committee meeting. We're not going to be voting on anything tonight, but you'll hear some discussion of what is taking place in the village tonight. And then next week, if you care to come back, you're always welcome. We will be voting on certain things next week at a board meeting. So tonight, we'll start our officers' report, starting with mine. I was told this afternoon, actually, that finally work will begin tomorrow on the water main to Robbins. They're finally going to start this work. The CSX Railroad, long story short, folks, just if anybody's been following this, the Village of Robbins buys water directly from the city of Chicago. Right after Christmas, they got a water main break at 119th and Maple over near Blue Island, and the water main break is under the railroad tracks. So it's like, this is a major deal to fix, because now you got to pull the pipe out from under the tracks and everything else to get this done. In the meantime, the water was running. They had a contractor out there. Cook County is overseeing the construction of this, because Robbins didn't have the availability to do this, the means to do this kind of repair work. And the county asked the Village of Alsip if we would supply water to Robbins in the interim while this work takes place. We were told it's a 4-day repair job. Well, then the problem ran into was the CSX Railroad said they couldn't locate the original documents of when the pipe was originally put in, and had everybody reapplying for permits and so forth to do this work. So I had a meeting last week with Cook County. We do not need an intergovernmental agreement with them. They said to send them an invoice. They're well aware of the cost that's been incurred, and Cook County is going to pay us directly with just per invoice. And we're going to set up an intergovernmental agreement in the future with Robbins should anything similar happen again. But the Village of Alsip has a water main that's within 10 feet of the Robbins main over at 126th and Kedzie. So we put in a gate over there to actually supply water to them, and the Village of Alsip has been supplying water to Robbins since the end of the day, like February 29th. So it's been a little over a month that we've been supplying water to Robbins. But tomorrow that construction is going to take place. It should take about 4 days, and this whole thing should be wrapped up. But we did, myself and Dan Triben, our water commissioner, we were on a Zoom call last week with everyone from Cook County Department of Asset Management, and they said send us an invoice and we are going to pay the Village of Alsip straight up. That's fine. Next, just to keep everybody aware, I was on a legislative call today with the South Suburban mayors and managers. Couple of bills that are pending down in Springfield right now are kind of hot. They are hot topics. First is House Bill 3908. It's in its second reading in the House of Representatives right now. This bill creates the Firefighter Paid Family Leave Act. This provides that a firefighter shall receive 6 weeks of paid family leave that may be used for 1, the birth of a child in order to care for the child, 2, to care for a newly adopted child under the age of 18, or a newly placed foster child under the age of 18, and 3, which was very vague, was to care for a family member with a serious health condition. This provides that the paid family leave requirements shall be provided to a firefighter regardless of the employer's leave policies, and shall be provided to a firefighter who has been employed for at least 1 year. So again, it can start with the fire department, but certainly we treat all of our employees fairly. This can really snowball at some point, too. This is 6 weeks of paid leave, and it can be used more than once in a fiscal, in a fiscal year. My question to everybody on the call was, I don't know how in the world we could even budget for that. How in the world could you foresee?
Well, with FMLA, they're always entitled to the FMLA as long as they worked adequate hours
But this
previously.
is paid leave.
Right, but you can substitute the leave, and you can use your discretionary time off in order to facilitate that request.
But
So that's leave in excess.
exactly, of that. That's where I'm going with this, right? That's leave in excess of. I don't know how you could even budget for something like that. Yeah, we've got 150 employees here.
Right.
And again, when it said to care for a family member with a serious health condition, well, gosh darn it, you got that second cousin twice removed on my mom's side and stuff like that. It's just really vague. That's all.
Well, I believe in that respect, it would still have to fall under, as Trustee Dalzell said, the FMLA requirements, and there has to be certification and validation that this is a legitimate
Oh, yeah, I mean, you're
family
going to
member.
qualify the event, but if you can demonstrate it's a serious event, I think this is kind of speaking to that and stuff. And they asked, apparently they called the Fire Chiefs Association, and they don't want to take a position on this.
Sounds like they got a pretty good lobby.
Yeah. The second bill,
But I
that's,
say that same thing, though, has already been implemented in the private sector.
in some cases, yes.
Where? Not in my company.
Second bill that's in a House reading, it's in the second Senate reading right now, is House Bill 5314. And this, we talked about this recently here in a meeting, was that this amends the Crime-Free Housing Act. And what they want to do is they want to take away crime-free housing. And what they're saying to you is, this provides that a county, municipality, or housing authority may not adopt, enforce, or implement an ordinance, resolution, policy, program, or other regulation affecting tenancy, if regulation would, number one, impose or threaten to impose a penalty against a resident, property owner, tenant, landlord, etc., as a consequence of contact with a law enforcement agency. Two, this would require, you can't require or promote the property owner or landlord to do anything like more than what they're doing. In other words, we can't put any more restrictions on them. Also, a municipality cannot require a tenant to obtain a certificate of occupancy as a condition of tenancy. You can just move into wherever you want with like no credit checks. And then four, it was a municipality cannot establish, maintain, or promote a registry that discourages or excludes a tenant from the registry. And further, it allows the aggrievant party to file action in the circuit court, and certainly it limits the concurrent exercise of home rule powers. What I'm saying, folks, and especially the students, we have, like in our village, many villages have what they call a home rule. I apologize, not home rule. We have a crime-free housing policy. If you're a nuisance tenant, we can speak to the landlord and have you removed from that building in the interest of the safety of everyone else in that building or in the surrounding community. This is going to take that away. I mean, I don't get that at all. And for the most part, Deputy Chief Schultz, I defer to you. This has worked pretty well for us here, right?
It has worked well. We abide by it. I think what happened is you had some people playing kind of fast and loose with the rules. Here in Alsip, we abide by the rules to the letter. I think getting rid of it only hurts the community. It hurts people that are in rental and multifamily dwellings. Once again, like if you have any power, I would strenuously object to it.
Absolutely. I'm going to certainly be reaching out to our legislators, both we have 2 state senators that represent us and 2 state representatives. I'm certainly going to ask them to oppose these, because this is hard on us. This really is. And like you said, this is for the betterment of the community. This isn't to make life more difficult on folks. It's for everyone else's safety. So, What else do I have on here? Next week, actually, next Monday night, we're going to have our student government night. We've got high school students. My assistant Becky told me from Shepherd High School and Richards High School are going to be with us next week to sit up on the dais with the board as representatives here next week. That's at 7:30 p.m. Board, again, I'm asked, and I'll remind your committees as well. I got a couple of department heads in the room tonight. Please send your committee people something for the students to speak to next week. And then, as a reminder, the village is going to have a village-wide cleanup day on May 11th from 9 until noon. And a flower sale is going to be that same weekend on May 10th and 11th. And then we're going to have a village-wide garage sale where we don't require permits on May 10th, 11th, and 12th. So that'll be a busy weekend on May 11th. And that's all I have for my report this evening. So clerk's report, Clerk Harding.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the presentation of the April 1st, 2024 board meeting minutes and the presentation of the March 2024 FOIA report. And that is all I had, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We don't need an attorney for tonight, and I didn't have anything from the engineer. Mike, did you get anything from our engineer? Anything to report? Mike, how's that construction coming on Costner? I'm not sure. I didn't get an update on that.
They're moving along. They had a few weather days last week that delayed them, but so far they've removed sections of curb and sidewalk on the east portion of Costner Avenue. They've began pouring some concrete in those spaces, and once that's completed, then they'll jump to the west side of Costner and start doing removals and replacements there.
Okay. I did see a couple of comments on social media. I make it a point not to comment on social media, but for folks that were complaining why we were doing that street, that's what they call an FAU route. So that's a federal aid urban route, that there's only a couple east of Cicero. So we've got Costner from 127th to 119th, and then 119th from Costner to Pulaski, right, Mike?
Correct, and then 131st Street,
And then 131st Street.
122nd, and Central.
And then 122nd from Cicero to Central.
Correct.
So they have to touch a federal route.
Correct.
In order to be considered for federal funding.
Yes.
And in this case, it's an 80-20 split, something like that we're doing with them, right? Yeah, so,
Yep.
I mean, when there's available grant money out there, we try to utilize that the best we
Exactly.
can. So,
Yep.
okay. I mean, we wish we could do more streets, and when we do, we allocate over $1 million a year, it seems like, to do street resurfacing.
Last couple of years have been, over $1 million.
Yeah, but when we get grants like that, in this particular case, it had to touch a federal route
Right.
in order to qualify for grant funding.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. We have the public forum. Did anyone in the audience wish to address the board tonight? Nobody? Sir, go ahead.
I've got a specific issue that relates to traffic safety, so Mr. Dalzell, I believe you're the trustee in charge of that.
Correct.
I live in Chapel Hill Estates. 115th and Magnolia is the entrance road into our Circle Drive. Dixie Drive is an east-west street, has a stop sign at the end of it at Magnolia, so does Mint Julep. We've had several instances where we've seen people blowing those stop signs. I almost got T-boned a couple weeks ago. And I did stop, pull into the intersection, and someone came flying down Magnolia. Didn't intend to stop, only that I was in the intersection did he stop. And then he proceeded to blow through the stop sign at 115th and Magnolia as well. The only thing that prevented him from going all the way through was traffic coming the other way on 115th. Because he had to stop in the middle of the road, I got his license plate number and a description of the car. I probably should not have, but I did see his car out there. I stopped at his house. I rang his doorbell. He answered. I asked him to stop going through stop signs like that. And he told me that I have no right to ring his doorbell and tell him that. So I did the next best thing. I came here to the police department, and I lodged my complaint. And because there was not an actual observation by a police officer, nothing could be done. But they recommended that I do stop here at one of these meetings and discuss this issue, because it's not just one person. My wife almost got hit at the Dixie and Magnolia intersection, somebody flying down through there. We got 20-mile-an-hour markings on all those streets, but let's just put it like this. There's a segment of our society now that believes that rules don't apply to them, laws don't apply to them. So when I spoke with Officer Sadecki, I believe, does that sound familiar on your force?
Slowicki.
Maybe. At any rate, we had a nice discussion about it, and he understood. He recommended that I stop here and maybe suggest the possibility of speed bumps, which would really anger a lot of the other people in our neighborhood. But you know what? As I told the officer, we have a lot of people that use that circle route as exercise walking, and a lot of people walking their dogs. And he explained to me, you can't have an officer out there 24/7 or even very regularly to sit there. I have seen squad cars sitting there watching that intersection, so it's doable, but it can't be done constantly. But speed bumps, if it saves somebody from getting hit and hurt, it might be worth it, the inconvenience for the rest of the people in the neighborhood. I guess it would be an engineer to come out and take a look at it and see what the logistics are, if it's a possibility.
Yeah.
I'm just asking for some help for that neighborhood. We got a lot of people that are just don't care anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure, the chief will bring it back and have a little discussion and come up with a recommended solution for it.
Well, sir, yeah, if you can sign in, please, and this way we have a record, and if you can leave a number, we can get back with you on that, too. Anybody else? No? All right, thank you. We'll go on with our standing committee reports, then we'll start with Finance and IT. Trustee McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor. I will have the usual list of payroll and accounts payable for approval next week, and that's all I have under finance at this time.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Next, the Fire Committee report. Trustee Murphy.
I have a request for approval for Chief Szynski to attend the Fire Department's Instructor Conference Trade Show from April 17th through April 19th for a cost of approximately $600. This would include hotel, taxes, and fees are unknown at this point. FDIC is held in Indianapolis, Indiana. Attending the trade show will allow Chief Szynski to view all of the manufacturers for fire apparatus to create the specifications of the replacement ladder vehicle. FDIC is a week-long of hands-on classes, conference-type classes, and a 3-day trade show that occupies the entire Indianapolis Conference Center at Lucas Stadium. Each year, approximately 30,000 firefighters from around the world will attend the FDIC. Every hotel within 10 miles is filled up months in advance for the conference, and that's all I have, sir.
So I don't know, Trustee, I'm not sure how much info you got. I don't know if you spoke to the chief at all, but, so the cost of the conference is $600, and what you're saying is the hotel and additional fees, we don't know what those are at this time?
I did not get a sheet on it, on what the expenses would be for that at this point.
Because this conference is next week.
So he's requesting approval now.
Right. I mean,
We would have to give a consensus. Can we come back to that, Mayor, to see if I have any more information on that?
okay.
There was an expense report in.
Yeah, because I don't have my, I can probably look it up real quick, but our stipends that we use for conference, our reimbursements and stuff like that, I don't have that.
He's
The
on the list
hotel
out.
seems to be
Oh,
over.
because I'm not getting in my screen right, so I was telling the clerk, I'm not getting my packet showing
Yeah,
up
the
right.
packet, there's only the agenda here.
He had sent out the notice for it, and he gave it an Excel spreadsheet
Okay,
with regards to the expense cost.
yeah, if you can pull it up, that'd be
pulling it
great.
up.
Okay. We'll keep moving then. Next, we had the Police and Traffic Safety Report. Trustee Dalzell.
I have the request to purchase 7 Motorola radios from Motorola at a cost not to exceed $50,000. These items have been budgeted for as part of the rotation program. Current radios are over 9 years of age. Also, the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police has awarded the Alsip Police Department the Use of Force certification. The ICP has reviewed the use of force policy and has determined that the policy complies with state and federal laws, less than lethal technology, and the Safety Act provisions. That's all I have. Chief, anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations, too, Chief.
Yes, awesome accomplishment.
You know, Chief, I don't know if you were here a couple weeks ago when I liked the annual report. You guys did a great job with the annual report. And last year, also police answered almost 40,000 calls for service, right?
30-something, yes, sir.
Yeah, it was like 38,000 something. And on all those calls for service, only 15 times we had use of force.
That's correct.
That's great. And not once did we use a gun.
No, one taser.
We had one taser event, and that was
Taser
it.
incident, and that was our first taser incident, I think, in 2.5 or 3 years.
So we used a taser once all year, and when I read the report on that, was that the same incident where they got the guy that kidnapped a kid? Yeah, they kidnapped a child, and the guy had a gun, and they used a taser to take him down and stuff then too. So that was great, well worth it and stuff then too. So, but great report, Chief. Nice job.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Public Work and Boat Launch Committee.
I have a presentation of the March 2024 Public Works Monthly Activity Report, and that's all I have, sir.
Trustee, I'm going to bring it up next week. Mike Freiter and I were talking about, we have, I'll ask for a consensus next week, but we've got a Catholic League fishing tournament coming up at they're going to launch from the Calside Canal, and they were asking if we could just waive the launch fee for the students for that single day. But I'll bring it up, we'll bring it up next week and ask for a consensus if that's okay with everybody, just so all you folks know what we're looking at.
So they're going to fish out of the CalSag.
I think it's just a way to get to the lake. Mike,
I would
did
love
he
to
tell
know
you
what
much
they're
of
fishing
where
for.
it's going to take place?
I don't know exactly, but I'm almost certain that they go off the lake.
Yeah. And just that ride to the lake, if you drop in over here at the Alsip boat launch, you're over an hour just to get to the lake and stuff. That's a long ride. It doesn't seem like long, but that's a pretty good ride.
Plus the locks.
And you get the locks and all that down there too, down by the Ford plant and all that. So
They were talking about starting at 6 a.m.
6 in the morning going out and all that. And that's a weekday too. This is like a Wednesday or Thursday, right? I think this is April 24th. So, okay. So I'll ask the board to consider for consensus next week. We got the students here. We'll have them ask and stuff then too. Okay. All right. Thank you. Next, we have the sewer and water report. Trustee Nava Esparza.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the update regarding the Robbins water issue, but I have no additional items this evening.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next, we have the Building and Health Department. Trustee Parada.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I have a presentation of the March 2024 Health Department Monthly Activity Report. And second, I have a presentation of the March 2024 Building Department Monthly Activity Report. And I'll have those presentations prepared for next week's meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We'll go to Human Resource and Insurance. Trustee Murphy.
No report tonight, Mayor. I do have the spreadsheet opened as far as the fire conference, and it looks like that it's guesstimated at about 558 total, including lodging, a meal, gas, and the registration fee.
Okay.
So 600 total for the entire conference.
Okay.
So we would have to do a consensus for that, in that it's next week, correct?
Right. I would. Right. So I'd probably. Is that what you're asking? Would you like to have us take a consensus on that?
I would, in that I don't see any other way to.
Because he's got to try and lock in a hotel.
Yes.
All right. And I know he's off. He's on vacation. He's not coming back till Thursday this week. So, Madam Clerk, could you please poll the board and ask for consensus to approve the chief attending the Fire Department Instructors Conference from April 17th to April 19th at a cost of $600?
Okay, roll call number 1, Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Nava Esparza.
Yes.
Trustee Parada.
Yes.
You have your consensus.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Murphy, if you want to give them a heads up tomorrow.
I'll let them know.
Thank you. Oh, that's what I want to tell everybody. I got confirmation this afternoon from HR, from our HR manager, Fasano, that we did make a job offer, and it was finally accepted today for a staff accountant. So she is scheduled to start work April 22nd. She's going to start working here and stuff then, too.
Great.
You know, they felt this is really a good pick, and fortunately, we found somebody that lived in our 25-mile circle. We actually have a residency rule working here for non-union employees, but you have to live within 25 miles of the village working here, and this person does, so it worked out. So anyway, they're going through all the steps right now with background checks and all that kind of thing then, too. Next, we'll go to our special committee reports, economic development. Trustee Navas Barza.
Thank you, Mayor. I participated in the Alsip Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan meeting. You were there, Mayor, along with Mike Rader, the engineer, and Becky, and also the consultant. And we had a robust dialogue in regards to different issues that exist in our village, east side and west side, in regards to pedestrian and bicyclist safety. And I think the common theme was just safety overall.
Yeah.
We do have some existing infrastructure like sidewalks in some part of town, but there are bottlenecks that do exist. Just like the gentleman mentioned, just certain intersections, people, the safety is a concern there. But I think the next steps for the committee is just to send out the invites to the steering committee, which was already sent, and then locking in dates for walking tours and a bicycle tour. And I believe dates will also be posted on our village website for those that want to participate in RSVP. That's to come soon. And we do have some public comment that's trickling in through the website as well. So we look forward to the community participating either online by submitting public testimony or joining us at future engagement opportunities. I'm not sure if there's anything else that I missed regarding the plan.
So we were fortunate to get a grant to do a survey. And my goal all along has been to try and, as the trustee said, to create more safe passage throughout the village. So, I mean, our bridges leave a lot to be desired. They're owned by the state. And then there's a few other roads, like, let's say, east of Pulaski, like 119th Street, that's owned by the county, and it lacks sidewalks. There's no way to get east and west on 119th Street, east of Pulaski. And then when you get over to 115th Street, from like Marist High School, like Pulaski, all the way to Ridgeland, there's no sidewalk. And I literally see people walking in the street, pulling suitcases to get to public transportation so they can get to Midway Airport. And at some point, I really hope that it doesn't happen, but they can possibly get hit. And I'm trying to create, we're trying to work on a project to get either sidewalks or bike paths to get from A to B. And actually, with a highly dense populated area like we have here in Alsip, we got to create more opportunities for walking and biking and things like that. So we're trying to do our best with the grant money, because all the roads that we're talking about are all what they call non-jurisdictional. In other words, we don't own those roads. They're all owned by either the state or the county. So I got to take a plan to CMAP and everybody else to have this be considered, because we can't do this ourselves. If we could, we'd really try, but we can't. We have to go through other agencies to make this happen. But we're on the right path, and this grant is going to help us assemble the data we need to present to those folks. So.
That's all I had, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll go to Village Properties. Trustee McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a request to expense no more than $20,000 to furnish and install security lighting at the village-owned Little League fields at 11740 South Karloff, with 3 quotes to be submitted. Roger, can you please explain what this is and why we're doing it?
So I put this on there.
Okay.
What it is Roger and I have been working on, the Village of Alsip owns Anderson and Frenzel Little League baseball fields at 117th and Karloff. As a landlord, we can ask, we try to maintain it the best we can, but this past year, we've had to do a little bit more out there because things were really starting to fall apart. So we took out, I had Public Works, we took out some trees recently. The trees were actually damaging neighbors' fences and all that kind of thing, so we took down a lot of trees along the south fence. The bathrooms didn't work. They had outhouses out there. I feel those are unacceptable. We determined the water still works, so we put fixtures back in. We got the bathrooms working over there as they should. And we're evaluating the parking lot right now, but we only had one estimate, and I don't want to disclose what that number is out loud because we might go out to bid. But also, we felt the need to increase the security over there, which we don't have any overhead lighting on Frenzel or Anderson Fields, correct, Raj?
That is correct.
It's pitch dark at night.
It is dark.
So what we're looking to do is at least have lighting installed off a pole, let's say on the north side and the south side of the concession stand, correct?
Correct. Roughly 100, we would directionally bore 150 feet to the north and to the south, and then put up a 20 to 25-foot pole with a 5,000 K lumen to light up the parking lot area and hopefully shade some of the fields.
So we did get one estimate. I don't want to say what that number is, but we are going to get 3 quotes. But I want to get direction from the board, if you agreed with us, to improve security out there. We're not going to spend more than $20,000, but we'd like to have additional security out there with having lighting on those fields, because there's nothing lighting those fields up right now. Over at Goretto Park, or down the street, they've got more lighting, like behind St. Terrence Church, because the street lights and everything else really kind of light that up. But this particular area, it doesn't have that same advantage.
So these wouldn't be lights to play, it'd be security.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
Roger, it doesn't mention how many floodlights on each pole.
There would be two lights, is what I
Two heads
specified.
per pole?
One for each pole.
One for each pole, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
What of the neighbors?
Pardon me?
What of the neighbors?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, because there's houses.
Yeah, they
along
back up
the
against
Actually,
perimeter.
we're looking at one, fortunately.
I'm
Her
okay
house
with it.
backs up to it.
Well, I have a big spotlight, like floodlight in my backyard, so it does light up a lot back there. But it is really dark, and
But
kids damage those dugouts out there.
Right, there's kids hanging out in the dugouts, or could be further out into the field, and even PD can't see them, they're so far back.
I mean, as we've experienced, is that there's 2 edges to every sword we have. So while we think it's doing a good thing on one side, when we were talking about the gas station development, 122 in Cicero, a lot of the neighbors are up in arms, the fact there would be lighting and progress and cleanliness and
Oh,
whatever else. So
The lighting is going to be projected to the, basically to the east, not shining into any of the homes. It's going to be shining on the parking lot.
you're going to tame the light?
They are,
You're
they are,
going to tame it 75 feet and have them fall off?
we're going to do our best.
Roger, would you happen to know if they're dark sky compliant?
Yes, they are.
Very good.
It just-
yeah, so we've been working with the new Little League president, Amy Wetzel. She's been done a real nice job of getting, overseeing the fields, and I appreciate Public Works. You guys did a great job, Mike, cleaning the place up. And last year, all we did was stripe the parking lot, but parking lot needs a little bit of help, but we'll have that conversation after we get a few more numbers in and stuff yet, too.
Just
Well,
one more question, Mayor, if I may.
Yeah.
So 2 light poles, I mean, is it necessary to have both of them illuminated all night? I'm just looking for...
We could put it on a timer.
You don't know, maybe one would be sufficient, just to kind of...
One would definitely not be
Okay,
sufficient.
I'm just looking for conservation, that's all.
Yeah, and
Well, at the same time, though, if there's none there, one is an improvement all by itself.
I mean, just, it's one thing to light it, for what purposes? If you're not in that parking lot, you're not going to see what's going to go on unless it's really well lit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to put a camera there, I could see where that might be beneficial, because now we'd have a heads up, or at least an accounting of when things went bad. But just to sit there and throw a light up, and, we're going to do it 7 days a week, rain or shine.
Right. Like I said, I mean, I feel that we live in a different world these days. I want to stay on top of this. I don't want to.
I get it. It's just
Yeah.
that, are we doing that for all the rest of the things that we have?
Yeah, and I think we're taking responsibility as a landlord, was my position on this, is that just to be sure that we have a safe, we have a safe parcel there, because we don't have one right now. Chief, I don't know, have you, maybe I can ask you too, have you ever had many problems on those fields or anything like that?
Historically, no. But due to their location and proximity of where they're at, what's around it, the multi-dwelling housing across the street, it tends to, people congregate there during the summertime, until recently, to where we were blocking off the parking lot. Like, you had a bunch of people just kind of parking there whenever they wanted. So, is it typically a problem? No. But in the summer, are we chasing some people out of there at times because neighbors are calling? Yeah, that's happening.
Okay.
And will continue to do so, although it'll be brightly lit. And we ran into the problem. We fixed that parking, and it's a parking lot. We fixed it, we striped it, and then all of a sudden, merit students found out that they could park there and walk to school. Neighbors would find out that they could sit there and they can park there because it's a parking lot.
Right.
So, it's just, you try to do the right thing, and target moves.
Oh, I get it.
Just one thing that comes to mind is that since it is a recreational use, are there any, have we ever explored like grant funding or grant dollars for outdoor spaces for safety issues and so forth?
I have not at this time.
Since, like at the Park District, I'm not sure what other grants they also seek, but maybe given the use, perhaps to explore that as an option as well, to offset some of the costs.
I will definitely look into it.
Yeah, we can double check that, yeah.
Roger, the only thing I would suggest is incorporating independent control for each light pole. Incorporate like a time clock along with the photocell.
It currently has a time clock there now, but each one will be on its own separate circuit, and then we'll tie it into the time clock.
Okay. All right. This way, maybe one light pole would be sufficient. It'll cut our energy use in half, right? So
is this something that's being proposed for next year's budget?
Yes, actually, we were told that we do have funding for this right now. I'm just bringing this to everybody right now. If you guys want to digest that, I'll bring it back to you next week. Right, Roger?
Yeah, I told all the contractors I needed it before Friday at noon.
Okay, good. So we should have more numbers next week. Okay. Because right now, we got at least 3 quotes on this, and I only have 1. All right, thank you. Next, we'll go to ordinance legislation. Trustee Parada.
no agenda this evening, Mayor.
Okay. And next, we had Planning and Zoning and Licenses Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I have a presentation of a list of licenses dated March 25th, 2024 through April 5th of 2024. And then just to let everybody know that the Planning Commission will hold a public hearing for case number 2024-04-B-100 on Wednesday, April 24th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. right here in this room. And this is for the property located at 5059 West 111th Street in Alsip. And that's all I have this evening, Mayor.
Okay, so that's the property next door to the Riddles Comedy Club that's in question. All right.
To the east or the west?
The west, right just before the dentist.
Oh.
So next, we had did anybody have any presentations, petitions, or communications they wanted to share? None? Any unfinished business? Any new business? I need to ask them that we adjourn to a closed session. I need to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or a legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2, Chapter 1. Can I get a motion and a second to do that?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call number 2 to adjourn to closed session. Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McGlaughlin?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Navas Barza?
Yes.
Trustee Peretta?
Yes.
Motion carries to adjourn to closed session.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into what's known as a closed session. We're going to talk about a few matters that's not necessarily available to the public. But students, if you need us to sign your agendas to show school you're here, please come on up. We'll sign those for you real quick. And then, what's it called? Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your night then, too. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Time of adjournment?
8:10.
Yeah, 8:10.